Welcome, everyone, to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. Appreciate you joining me as always. It's that day. It's the day that we bring in our fans and supporters of the Burgundy and Gold to talk about the Washington Commanders. And the show has really picked up on Fridays. You know, we've had fans from all over the world joining us now. And, you know, from Turkey to Ghana, now we have a lot of fans on the West Coast who are joining in, as you'll see today. You know, so we have a lot of fun with that. And if you want to come on this program, all you got to do, folks, is very simple. All you have to do is email me at the Lake Lewis Jr. Show at gmail.com. Once again, the Lake Lewis Jr. Show at gmail.com. And someone will get back to you and put you on the distribution list, which means once you get the link, anytime on Fridays at 5 p.m., you can log in and we'll be up and rolling and ready to go with all these dynamic fans who support the Washington Commanders. Going forward, you know, we're going to open some things up too for other fans of other teams. You know, we've had several come on with us in the past: a Bears fan, Eagles fan, Giants fan, Cowboys fan. So, you know, other fans can come in as well. And you know, as the season goes on, you know, we are going to have a segment or two just devoted to the NFL by and large. So hopefully I'll be able to answer questions for, fans of other teams as well. If you want to subscribe to the podcast, very simple. All you have to do is go to your favorite podcast carrier, whether it's Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Deezer, you name it, it's on there. And then, of course, you can watch the program on YouTube, and you can go to the YouTube channel, which is the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. You can subscribe there. And if you see that little red button right there, that means you haven't subscribed to the show yet. So please subscribe to the show, and then you won't see that button. If you're not seeing the button, that means you've already subscribed. And then, finally, if you live in the Washington greater metropolitan area in D.C., you can listen to this show on Tuesdays live, where it's on the radio up there on WOL. It's a Radio 1 channel. You can hear it on 95.9 FM and then 1450 AM, and that starts at 11 o'clock East Coast time, 11 a.m. East Coast time. So today, we're going to break down the Commanders uniform reveal, because on Wednesday, they released photos and video of a new uniform, which is really not a new uniform. It's a uniform from their Super Bowl era. And I think a lot of fans like myself, people who grew up in the DC area. So if you're a fan, or if you're a supporter, or if you're even media like myself, I'm media/supporter because I'm from the area. This is my team. I think the uniforms were a home run. I really do. And I mentioned this on several occasions on social media. Well, we're going to get the take from the fans out there. So when we come back from break, we'll get their take on the uniform reveal. And then, of course, we're going to have some hypothetical questions where we have a lot of fun with it. And then I'm going to open up a new segment today where I'm going to let them ask me whatever they want. Any questions pertaining to the Commanders or anything around the NFL, we'll talk about it. So stay tuned. Got a lot of stuff for you today. It's going to be a longer show than normal, but hopefully you have a good time watching it. So hang tight. We'll be back right here on the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. Welcome back, everyone. It's Friday Fan Day, and you know what time that is. It's when we bring in the best supporters of the Burgundy and Gold, and we've got a lot of stuff that we're going to break down in today's program. As always, if you want to follow the program, it's easy to do so. You can follow it on your favorite podcast carrier. If you live in the DMV or the greater Washington metropolitan area, you can listen to this on 95.9 FM and on 1450 AM. That's Radio 1 channel, WOL. And then, of course, you can watch this on YouTube. So as we do every week, like I said, we've got some of the best, and they know their team. They have their own questions ready. But we're going to talk about, first and foremost, and welcome everyone to the show, of course. But we're going to talk about the uniform. Obviously, we talked about over the past few weeks, the reveal was coming. I did tell you guys that they were going to take a step back in the past. So my question is, and we'll go around the horn as we do with everyone, please try to limit your answers to 30 seconds so we can get more topics in today. But we're gonna start with Alfonso. What was your thoughts on the alternate uniform?
I love it. I love it, man. I'm one of those. I go back one of those old school cats that with the Super Bowls that we won, we
Right.
did it in that jersey, so it brought back a lot of familiarity. And yeah, I just wish they had like some kind of like alternate uniforms that kind of blend in with it.
Uh-huh.
But that uniform, I can't argue. It's one that I'm really feeling.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Brad, my guy, what's going on, man?
What's up, family? I like it. As a fan base, we was so emotionally detached from this team for so many reasons, other than things on the field, the scandals and controversy in previous owner. If we were winning, we could probably look over that, but we were losing. And what Josh Harris is doing to get the fan base back. I mean, look what he did with the draft room, the Bobby Beathard draft room, how the old players have come back and then reconnect with the uniforms. I love it. And if he does right with Sean Taylor and that statue, man, that's going to be historic. The fans going to all the way be back. So I love the uniforms.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And yeah, I can tell you guys, if anything, you already know the Sean Taylor statue is going to be fire because they've done everything that Josh Harris has touched since he's been in Washington as the owner has turned to gold. And I too, and I'll give you my take on the uniforms, but I just can't be more proud of being able to cover this team and not have my head buried in the sand. So good stuff. All right. So Ellison, you're up. What's up, my friend?
What's good, man? Good to see everybody. I love the uniforms. I'm not a big uniform guy, but to see what we have compared to what we used to have back in the day when we were winning actual Super Bowls, it felt good. I felt like a little kid waking up and seeing those uniforms again. So I was happy, and I look forward to seeing the road uniforms. I was wondering if they were going to be burgundy jerseys and white pants coming too, like we had back in the day. But I love them. I do.
All right. And the thing is, before we get to everyone else, the thing that really kind of got my juices flowing, so to speak, was the fact that to see Jaden in one of those old uniforms, it was that to me was the moment right there because like we've talked about on this program, for months, they've never had a franchise player like that. And now to see the new face of the franchise and perhaps, potentially the greatest face of the franchise if he plays like we think he will play when his career's done, in that uniform, it was very nostalgic for me. And that was the perfect tie-in, I think, for the modern and the old. So yeah, it was just a good look. All right. So Josh in Minnesota, appreciate you coming on.
Of course. I absolutely love them. Like I said last week, mix a little bit of the new with the old. And, you've got that beautiful satin helmet, that matte helmet. And yeah, I mean, I watched those Super Bowls. So yeah, that uniform, it really hits home. They're knocking it out of the park. And I feel that they're testing the waters a little bit too. Baby steps.
You said testing the waters, meaning just to see how the fans are receptive to the uniform.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
that's going to be their uniform in 2026.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
I have no doubt. Yeah, I have no doubt that yeah. I mean, you told us last week.
I did. I got to tell you guys, it was hard. Like,
Yeah.
because y'all were pressing a little. There was some people pressing, and I'm like, man, it wasn't supposed to be a leak at all. And you guys know I'm not a leak. So, but I did know that old uniform was coming. I'll be honest with you though. I'm not going to even sit here and gloat, but I will say this. I didn't know it was going to look that sharp. It
really does.
although it's the old uniform, doesn't it kind of have like a modern look to it for some strange reason?
Right around this area. Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause I don't know if you guys noticed this, and I'm not trying to, get it going here, how we break stuff on this show, but you noticed there was no name there, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I noticed.
All right. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Yeah. All right. So Mike Barrett, you're up.
I mean, I love it. These guys are hitting it out the park. I love it. There's just one piece of unfinished business yet, but I know we're gonna talk about that later. But
so you're already trying to start it up, already stirring it up.
I mean, the prior administration couldn't get the years right on the crest, and they trotted Jay out there to try to say, no, it's 92. No, it's the 91 Super Bowl, man.
Yes.
They got the years wrong on the crest. I mean,
That bothered me so much.
Yeah, I remember that when I first saw that. I was like,
yeah, man.
how did they?
I love it.
not the season. They put the Super Bowl win,
Yeah.
the date of
Oh,
the win on there. So that's a whole nother story. But what before we move on to everyone else, are you guys okay with the crest that they have? I mean, like just the idea of it, or do you think that needs to go away?
It's
I
okay.
like it.
All
I don't,
right.
I don't mind it. I
Okay.
don't mind.
Fine.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
As long as they get the dates right and stuff, I'm good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Get the Super Bowl seasons right,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
All right. So Reverend Fry, what's going on, my friend? Out there in California, it's early for you today.
Good
7 o'clock on a
morning.
Saturday
Yes,
morning.
believe me, and at this age, I'm feeling it. It was a late night. It was a late night. I'm not as young, but I couldn't miss this. And I was really disappointed because I thought that I had missed another week. So this
No,
has
no.
become a very significant part of what I do. You guys are my connection back home. Seriously.
Yeah.
Nice,
Good.
nice,
And
nice,
so I
nice.
very much appreciate this platform and just to be able to connect. But I'm like everyone else. I love the uniform
Mm-hmm.
because I listen to a lot of the other podcasts, and
Mm-hmm.
they are younger individuals that have not experienced, I don't
Yeah.
want to name drop because I don't. I would like for a couple of them to actually at one time come on this
Mm-hmm.
show to connect and, if you will, not hide behind just that platform of the YouTube, but interact with the fans as opposed to just them. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but nevertheless, this always looking for something new, and as they disrespectfully call us the old heads and wanting to move on and do something new, but you ain't done nothing new in 30 years. You feel me? You
Yeah.
haven't done
Mm-hmm.
nothing new with your new in 30 years, and
Mm-hmm.
we understand why. But I love the uniform. I'm still that radical. I wish the helmet had the feather on the W. That's for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's missing. I'm
Yeah.
him. I'm him.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, that
I'm
part
him.
with the
You
feather.
know, but the blend, I believe that the W on the helmet, given the other helmets that went with that uniform,
Mm-hmm.
that W is the blend of the new.
Yeah, and that W is their brand, and that's what I kept saying. I still, like I've said before, I still know that the old logo is in play, not to come back to be the permanent logo, but to be from a marketing standpoint. You can add it on different things, but that W to me has like we talked about before. You guys know I love that helmet. I love that matte helmet with
Oh
the
yeah.
W. Now I was thinking, okay, maybe eventually, maybe if you put a white border around the W, it'll pop out a
Some,
little bit more. But you
some
don't need to do that now because you put the stripes back on
Yeah.
that
true,
matte helmet.
true,
So
true.
that another thing that people are overlooking. That's blending the old with the new,
Yeah.
and I love it. I mean, I think it's a nice look. It just looks good, man. It really does.
Right.
This was someone that mentioned to me like 2012. This was similar to the RG3 uniform. I mean, I think they tried to look and see how they can blend different things in there. And it's funny because I'm not sure if you guys are like me, but during those times, even when they were winning, and I have to say they and not we, but even when they were winning, um, there were times I was like, man, they got to jazz that uniform up a little bit. But then when you don't have the uniform and you see this modern uniform, yeah, I'm a traditionalist, man. And I think when you look at the teams like Pittsburgh and Green Bay and some of the other teams, that they don't change their uniform for
Right.
anything.
Right.
And the
Right.
Bears, I mean, they don't change their
Right.
uniform. And
Yeah, the original shooter.
Washington's one of the older teams.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
listen, just stay with something that's nostalgic for everyone. And I think this was probably the closest thing that they could have possibly done to bridge the gap without bringing the name back. So I think it's a perfect thing. So good stuff, good stuff. All right, so Ron's the first time folk coming on with us, and he's a friend of ours, friend of the family's. What's going on, my friend?
Hey man, it's great to be here.
Appreciate you.
I've been trying to get on for a while, but as I said, schedule wise didn't work. But happy to be here today. In regards to the uniform, I think it's
Hmm.
amazing. It's
Hmm.
just kind of bringing that tradition back, kind of like everyone else.
Hmm.
We're winning again. They're trying to go back to RFK site. These uniforms, it gives us that feel back in the 90s when we were a dominant team. So, everyone who was around during those times, loving and appreciating this team, it's bringing our joy back into the fan base. So I'm excited to see what else is next in store to
Hmm.
kind of tie us back to those winning ways, see what else the Harris group has under their sleeve.
Folks, I got a little story to tell. I don't think Ron will mind me saying this, but Ron played at William and Mary, and if you guys know the history there, one of his teammates at the time was coaching Buffalo now. Sean McDermott. Am I saying this stuff right, Ron?
You're
All right.
correct.
And then two of his coaches at the time, I think they were grad coaches at the time, if I'm not mistaken, or
Well,
Coach Quinn.
Tomlin was still a player.
Okay, so you played with Tomlin too, and then
Yes,
Coach Quinn was a grad assistant, if I'm not mistaken.
correct.
All
He was
right,
a grad assistant.
so you guys see how that stuff ties in. That's pretty cool, man, to think about. From small, no offense, Ron, but small William and Mary has these three heavy hitters in the NFL right now, whose teams are all, if not Super Bowl contenders, relevant. So that's pretty
Absolutely.
cool. So good
Yeah.
stuff there.
Hey,
All
you
right.
got you guys share some Tomlin stories with us one day, man.
Oh man, I got a bunch of them.
All right, so we have Sean joining us from Fresno, another person that's up early. So appreciate you coming on, Sean.
Right. It's pretty much all been said. I'm okay with the new old jerseys, what I call them. We
Hmm.
kind of threw a bone to the older crowd to kind of keep the Super Bowl thing going. I'm more of
Hmm.
a Oregon Duck, New Jersey every week type of guy. I like that flow a little better. So I'm okay with it, but I will say I'm more interested in wins as opposed to how we look out there. If we
Yeah.
wear neon pink, if we're winning, people are going to jump on board. So,
That's what I've been saying, man. Call them the cupcakes, and there'll be cupcake
right.
jerseys around if you winning games. I will say this, and then we still have Sheila and Willis next. Being Penn State alum, we're I'm big on keeping the uniforms the same, and just being more of a traditionalist, when it comes to uniforms. And I've always said, in college is different. You're trying to do something exciting to get these young guys to want to maybe come to your school, feel like they're gonna have some snazzy uniforms. And Oregon's got, like, I don't know, 20 different combinations. That's Nike brand, but in the NFL, it looks odd, when you see some of these teams throwing out all these different colors. It almost looks gimmicky to me,
Yeah.
so, and I can understand people wanting a different look. I can understand that, because there were a lot of fans out there that were not happy when they
Right.
saw this reveal. They felt
Right.
like
Right.
that was too easy. They were like, they could have done this a couple years ago, where they could have, but they didn't,
Right.
because the ownership group and the leadership was terrible. So it's different now. So yeah, I can appreciate that, Sean. All right, so Miss Sheila, what's going on?
Nothing. I'm just sitting out here and trying to get some sun with all this
Um,
rain that we've been having. But anyway, yeah, I like them. I had to go back and pull up the old uniforms and look at them and do a little comparison. I think on the sleeves of the arm, they're a little different. They still have like the three stripes, but the older ones were bigger. The stripes on
yes.
the arms, yeah, they were big. The pants, I'm glad that they put those stripes back on the pants. I wish they can play with them every week, but I know they can't. But anyway, I
So it
like
looks like they're
that.
not
Are
playing.
they gonna
Looks like
keep the
they're not.
black uniforms? Because I love
I think the black. I think honestly, I think what's
them.
happening is I think honestly they're trying to assess, what the fans want, frankly, and I think that's been the Harris Group's whole MO. And I think that they're realizing that a lot of the fan base has come to love those black uniforms. And so I
I know
I'm
I
not
like
one
them.
of them. I'm gonna let you know that. But with that said, I always defer to the masses, and if the masses want that black uniform to stay, my only request would be this: if you're going to keep the black uniform, then make the black uniform look very familiar to the alternate uniform that you're going to have be
That W on the helmet.
yeah, make even down to the stripes on the sleeves, the pants, just turn
Yeah.
everything into black if you're going to
Yeah.
do that. And then I think I might come on board with that.
Yeah, we can't look like the Steelers.
Exactly. You cannot look like the Steelers out
I don't
there
know.
at
I
all.
just think it makes them look more thorough when they out there. They come out there looking mean with the black uniforms to me.
Yeah, I mean,
Especially
and
when
I
we
think
got
we
that
saw
Hail
wins.
Mary, and they were just running all over the place.
Yeah, and we
stood out.
we saw a lot of wins in that black
Yeah, they
uniform
just
this
look
year.
good,
So
and
that
it looks
kind
good
of,
on Jaden to me. So I just like it. Yeah.
well, I think because of the player that Jaden is,
Hello,
I
everybody.
yeah. Yeah, no, I said I think because of the player that Jaden is, he could wear like polka dot out there, and it's still going people are going to be like, we got to change our uniforms, polka dot uniforms. All right, so we got good stuff, Sheila. We got Willis on with us from Arizona. What's going on, Willis?
Hi, everyone.
What's going on?
So, as far as when we were all talking about uniforms coming out and everything, I had to say my enthusiasm was probably at a 2, maybe a 1. I don't know. I just was not interested. But then they came out with the release, and I won't lie, I got like warm and fuzzy, like just looking at it. It was like, oh my gosh, like, wow, that's so cool. Like, so yeah, I think they really did knock it out of the park. I had no expectations, and so they certainly beat them. But I can't wait to get a Jaden jersey with one of those as soon as they come out.
Yeah, I think that's going to be. He's already got one of the top selling jerseys now.
Yeah.
So can you imagine? When this thing hits, and
It's gonna fly.
they're gonna sell out like instantly. So if it's something you want to get, you might want to get it. And then I was thinking, how cool would it be if? So I was surprised, as far as the 3 games that they decided they're going to wear this in. See, I was thinking one game has to be Spain. Did anyone think that? Like, you're surprised at Seattle, Denver, Cowboys, of course, Christmas
Cowboys,
Day,
of
of
course.
course. But I was thinking the other game would be Spain because that's your traditional look, and you're going somewhere for the first time ever. You kind of want to embrace, the history of the organization. So, were any of you surprised that they aren't going to wear it in Spain?
I was kind of surprised that they didn't save them all for division games. Honestly.
Oh, that's a good point too. Yeah,
That's a
you
very
could have had it in there, but it's just 3 games. I
Yeah.
think that's the way the alternate setup is. And remember, they couldn't do more because they still have the black uniform, the other uniform. So, but I think it's safe to say, not to stir the pot or anything, but and I tweeted it out. There's no doubt in my mind that this will be their uniform for the 26th season, and then they'll probably roll out, obviously the burgundy jersey version of it as well, and then I think everybody will be cool with that.
I
Like
agree.
you-
Aren't the other two on Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football?
Yeah, Sunday night.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep. Sunday night
I
football.
think
So
that Cincinnati game, his coming out party last year was so huge. I think that's why they picked one of those games because everybody watches those games, man.
oh
Right.
yeah, I mean I could see that, but yeah, what you got, Brad?
I think that Harris Group marketing team is A1, right?
Oh yeah.
To introduce those on primetime games, right? What other game you gonna watch? So why
Yeah.
not put it on primetime and get those uniforms together? And against Dallas, of course, until your Spain comment, this is not for the new fans. This is for all of us who've been here through the bad times. So he reconnecting with the old, get us back emotionally. And the one way you do that is them jerseys. So Spain is for new people. You know what I'm saying? Those for the
Gotcha.
new ones. This is for us who done been through the Jim Zorns and the Steve Spurriers and all of that.
Right.
The
Right.
tormented
This is for us.
crowd.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, just as Willis was saying, when I knew it was happening, but then when I saw it, it was kind of like it was probably the first time in what 4 years, 5 years now, because you go back to what, 6 years. I think this will be the 6th year since everything happened, if I'm not mistaken. 5th year. It's the first time in that whole process where I actually felt like this is what I'm used to right here, So it's the first time that I actually felt that feeling of, Redskins. That's literally what I felt. And like I said, to see Jaden in the uniform, to see Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz and these guys, it was just like, it was great. And you saw what Jeremy Reeves had tweeted out too, like a couple of the guys were like, they didn't think much of it, but then when they saw it and then they're in it, they actually felt like they were part of the history of the organization. And I think that's something that I think a lot of guys don't talk about outwardly, but I've talked to them about things like that. I'm not going to say they felt like they were on an expansion team, but they didn't feel like they were part of the Redskins history. And then last year when they went on that run and they saw how the crowd, how the fan base connected with them, I had players telling me, I heard how it was. I didn't know it was going to get this wild, but I had guys telling me it's crazier now than when I was in college. And some of them went to some Power 5 schools. And I'm like, you just wait.
Exactly.
You win a Super Bowl,
You
just wait. You'll never have to pay for a meal in town ever again in your life.
Shut down Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think they also saw for the first time too what winning does for a city. Like I'm not gonna sit here and quote stats and things like that, but I can tell you, I know that crime rate was down during that run. Listen, guys don't have time for that because they watching the game too. That's what winning does. So, so now that we've seen the uniform, we've embraced the uniform. I have a hypothetical. And this is good now because this isn't one where I'm gonna give you a week to think about it. We're gonna talk about this today. But my hypothetical is this: do you now, going forward, hypothetically speaking, if let's just say in 2026, this is the uniform again, the old uniform is back and it's their uniform. Do you keep the Commanders' uniforms of current as the alternates?
Yeah.
That's the question.
We got to keep that black uniform. That black uniform.
But I'm talking about the gold, with
Now
the
that white
and the
that
burgundy jersey or the red jerseys, because those weren't burgundy. Y'all say keep them or get rid of them.
get rid.
Bye.
Man, y'all, this now see, this is a generational thing without question, because I had a couple young cats come at me like, so what, we just got to get rid of the Commander stuff that we like. I'm like, man, nobody likes that.
They're probably mad because they bought a jersey, then they got to go buy another one with the young crowd.
That's okay. It'll be a throwback in 30 years.
But I'm saying you wouldn't want to see, like, let's just say 6 years from now in the new stadium, they're doing their thing, winning games, and they have a retro jersey, and it's the Commanders uniform, the red one, or the white, with the burgundy pants. You guys don't want to see that no more, huh?
No.
I think they'll, because
That's
this is
ugly.
a
Hard crowd, man. Gosh.
I think they'll, because this is a business, they will keep as much as they can to make money. So you will see probably what they wear now, maybe a game or two going forward, just so they can make money on the side in the merchandising shop and stuff like that. But primarily what they'll wear is what they put out, a few days ago.
I mean, but who's gonna want to buy a old Commanders jersey? Let's be honest. Like,
if they winning, no one would care what they buy as long as they winning. Right?
But I'm saying I don't think in this new stadium, let's just say it is 2030. I don't think you're gonna see 70,000 fans and you see a lot of that burgundy Commanders jersey.
Oh,
no, you won't.
Because those three Super Bowl those three Super Bowl banners are gonna be hanging up there with what color jerseys.
Do you think the younger crowd, and I have to ask this, are as passionate about certain these specifics, say, like we are? Because we have more time and more scars invested in this. But do you believe that they're really as passionate as, or is it just because, sort of like Ron was saying, they removed something new that they had that was a part of their noun identity, whereas we're speaking, every Sunday for, whatever number of years we walked out and this is what we won in, and there's a lot of, historical significance for us versus I just need something. I need the new noun or the new it or whatever the new vibe, whatever the word is today.
Well,
Yeah.
Rev, I think what it's doing, it's because when the young folks were coming at me, I think it's diminishing them now.
Right. I
So
was.
yeah,
I would.
yeah.
Can I jump in for a minute?
Oh yeah,
Lake?
absolutely. Go ahead.
So, I'm from Detroit, obviously, and I went to the game against Tennessee last year, and
Mhm.
we were up 28-0. And I heard people 6 rows away from me talking. And I remember messaging Lake, like, why is it so quiet in here? Like, we
I
are
remember.
blowing
I
this team out.
remember.
And I'm like, what's up with that? Like, I didn't get that. And Lake was like, it's these new millennials, right? They're kind of like, is it real? We don't know, right? But I think
They don't
the
trust.
older fans, the uniform and all that, once we went in, that's what we used to,
That's
right?
all we knew.
That's
So
what's
if we up
important.
28-0 over
Mhm.
Dallas, let's say, or Philly, or anybody, we're gonna be
It's
so
gonna be
loud. We're gonna make
loud.
them don't want
It's
to
gonna
come
be
back to our stadium no more.
uber
Right, but
loud.
You know what I mean?
the new crowd or the newer fans, they've never really experienced winning.
Right.
So
They
it's
haven't.
hard for them to connect when, they've only experienced losing. So last year was really an anomaly for them. They're like,
Mhm.
that's why they're like, how long is this gonna last? Oh, something's gonna
Mhm.
derail us. What's going on? So I think that's a big part of the entire thing because all of us, we remember those 80s teams and those 90s teams. So
Mhm.
we know what it feels like to be a winner in this city and a fan of this team. So when we see all of that coming back, it's no question we are going to be the loudest and the craziest and the most rabid fans of the franchise. And then the newer cats, as we continue to win, I feel like they're going to start jumping on the bandwagon more because now they realize, okay, this is here to stay,
Well,
and this
you
team is here to stay.
good points, Ron. I was just about to say, and I
Mm.
think the main thing that it'll do, it'll quiet them from having anything to be negative about. Because you have to understand, they grew up in an era of social media and all negativity about this organization.
Absolutely.
So you guys remember, and I'm glad you brought that up, Brad, because I had people emailing me, people DMing me all the way up like week 11 and 12. Like, can you stop pumping this team up? And then when they had the 2 game
Oh
losing
wow.
streak against the Steelers and the Eagles, I mean, you can go on the YouTube when this post. Just look at some of the comments from some of our past shows last year during the season. People were like, "Stop overhyping Jaden. You're blowing
I say that.
smoke, and you're." And I'm like, "Listen, man,
Didn't stop until week
I'm
14.
not. I'm not even. I try to tell people this. I've removed my fandom as far as from what I do for a living. I removed my fandom 20 years ago. This is still my team because I'm from DC. I'm gonna always rep my town. With that said, though, I can't be biased. I have to report what I see. And you guys that followed me for years, I've reported on some bad teams, and I've reported that they were bad. So
Well, you had to.
I had to, but I know
Right.
what I saw last year, and I know what I saw on rookie minicamp, and I know what I heard from this young man when I interviewed him in Detroit when he was drafted right off the podium. I
Exactly.
and I kept saying there's something different
Different.
about this young man
It
and
is.
the way he carries himself, the fact that he knew the history of the team on draft night. He was talking about it. The fact that he said he wanted to be a face for African American kids in town who can see him and know that there's
Mhm.
hope. I mean, it was just different, and it wasn't self-absorbed either. It was just that's who he is.
Yes.
And then when I saw his performance in rookie minicamp, and then when I heard Bobby Wagner and at the time, John Allen, these vets saying that this guy's in before them. And he's still there when they're leaving. I'm like, okay, this is different. So when I tried to explain that to people, they were like, I'm blowing smoke or I'm making this stuff up. It's, Lake. And I'm like, no. So then you guys remember, I predicted this team, I thought could be an 11-win football team. Well, I was wrong. They won 12. So, but people were like, there's no way they're going to do that. And now this year, I'm saying every other day, this is a Super Bowl contending football team. And then I hear Eagles players saying when they're asked, what's the one team that you feel like this year is going to be something special when you play them, or a team that you got to look out for? And all their players are like, I would say the Commanders. So this isn't me blowing smoke. This is the Super Bowl champion players saying that they see the same thing. But I still think these young cats have lost so many games, and all they saw was just bad football, that they don't understand what we saw. They don't understand what we saw growing up. We saw if they lost in the playoffs, it was heartbreak city.
Yeah.
Because we
never knew when we would get back.
Yeah. It was like you couldn't wait for the next year to recoup, and get back at it. They've never seen that. So now, they're witnessing the same thing that I think we are. Over the last 30 years, they've never had a Super Bowl contender. I know people will say, oh, no, the 2012 team was... Stop it. The 2012 team was not the favorite to get to the Super Bowl. In the playoffs, they played in a wild card game. I mean, come on, man. A divisional game. So all I'm saying, though, is that over the last 30 years, this is the first time that we all can say that the excitement for training camp coming up is to see a legit Super Bowl contender with what? A franchise quarterback. None of us have ever seen that. So that's why I keep telling the young folks, we're even learning something as the old heads. We're seeing something that we never saw as far as that franchise quarterback. So why can't we all embrace that stuff at the same time? But I do think that the young folks don't want to be diminished, because now what are they going to say? You got the old uniform. You got an owner that's embracing our time. What are they going to say?
But Josh was there too, so that's why he does it.
That's what I'm saying. This is our time again. We suffer for so long. Now it feels good to be able to put your chest out a little bit.
That's right.
And you still got like people saying we're hyping Jaden up. You heard Cam Newton come out with his lazy takes and stuff like that, talking about and Cam and the difference between RG3 and Jaden is so night and day.
Yeah,
I think RG3 wanted, his ego was ahead of him, and Jaden don't even have that. He's so humble and hungry. So for Cam to say it was a lazy take, and that was whack on him to say that.
I get mad when I see these things and I hear these things, because great football player. He was an MVP,
Yeah.
But it's one thing to talk about, just hypothetically speaking here, Josh Garber's house in Minnesota, when I have never been in his house. I can't talk about his house if I've never been in his house.
Hello.
And I say this because a lot of people who say things, I've never seen them at a practice, ever. I've never seen them on the grounds, ever. And to me, I'm like, but I'm out here and I know what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing how these guys are flying around this field and cheering on each other in practice. And then you go and you saw it translate onto the field. If you haven't been out there, you can't comment. I mean, you can comment from what you see in a game tape, but if that's the case, then there's nothing negative you can comment about.
That's right.
That was envy to me. It seems like it was straight envy.
I think
there's a lot of that.
Was envy
trying to fix his podcast and get some
that is,
for dollars. That's all he's doing.
Better to be quiet and be perceived an idiot than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Well, see, this is the other thing too. And I know everyone's going to appreciate this comment. We're all old enough to be able to defend this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
That's
the
right.
young folks had to take it. You guys suck. You're terrible. You're this, you're that. And what could they say? I know. I mean, that's all they could say. We're old enough to say, no. I remember growing up, and when I was in college in Pennsylvania, Penn State, like I told the story before, a lot of friends that were Eagles fans, a lot of my friends were from Philly. And the one thing they held on my head in 4 years there was that body bag game. That they kept saying, man, body bag game. And I'm like, I think we went on and won a Super Bowl though. You talk about this body bag game. Next year they won a Super Bowl. And I'm like, and y'all have never won one. Now it has changed now obviously over the last 7, 8 years. The Eagles they're it, So
Yeah.
now we have to accept that and take it from their fan base. But I know, and I've said it and I'll say it again, the fact that their fans are always in our stuff tells me that they know it's coming. And the rivalry is it's there now. So
let me say
I
something.
like that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Jedi 5, he's changed the game. And so we need to jump on board. And he's basically about to get the baton from the KC guy. And he's going to be the face of the NFL.
Yeah. Thanks so
You
much.
know what? I can't even say to you, that's not, I don't agree because I think, and there's a reason why they're playing on Monday night in
Hello.
Kansas City.
Absolutely.
And we were this close to seeing it last year in the Super Bowl. How big would that have been, just from a league marketing standpoint? Because no offense, you guys know I'm a Jalen Hurts fan, but Jalen Hurts is marketable because he's a good dude, really, but not marketable because of, I would say, the dynamic of his game, so to speak.
Right.
Is that fair to say that? Like you
Superstar
see
level.
Jaden, and people were like, "Oh, Jaden is Lamar." No, he's
His
not.
name is Jaden.
or Jaden is Joe Burrow. No,
No.
he's not. Jaden is Jaden, and I agree with you, Sheila. He's a one of one. I've never seen a guy that's elite with his legs and elite with his arm.
Yeah.
Josh Allen is really good doing both, but Jaden's different. It's just different, and he was only a rookie with no weapons. Now
No
he's gonna have
ego.
more than just Terry in that offense, so it's gonna be something. All right, so one of you said that you had Willis. You had a hypothetical, so let's throw your hypothetical out there. See what we have.
All right. This is actually a four option hypothetical.
What?
I gotta do homework, Willis.
Hear me out.
All right.
We have already gotten past the NFC Championship. Doesn't matter who we beat, Eagles, Dallas, Bears, whatever. Who would you want to play in the Super Bowl? There's 4 options. We could have the Beltway Super Bowl.
That's the Ravens.
Washington.
Who I've called. That's the Super Bowl this year. I've called it. Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
We could do a replay of our last Super Bowl against Buffalo. So 92 to now. We could do a changing of the guards. So we're playing Kansas City. Old versus new. Or another old throwback one. And this is a possibility too. Denver versus
Denver. I knew he was going to say that.
Denver.
we went 88 to, because we got Bo Nix, you got Sean Payton. Sean Payton's played against Quinn quite a number of times when they were down in the Saints and Falcons against each other. They know each other. I mean, all 4 of those could be just massively great matchups. And so I wanted to throw that out and see what do you guys think?
Let me jump on this one. Let me jump on this one. And then if you guys are okay with this, I'm going to defer this to Brad after I answer, because I already know we were on the same page. I'm picking the Ravens game.
Me too.
Me too.
And I'm picking the Ravens
the
game
only
for it's the only answer. I agree. I knew you guys were going to do that. And I say this because I am a huge Lamar Jackson fan, and I think he takes so much junk that's unwarranted and unfair. He's without question the greatest show in the NFL to watch. I mean, he really is. So for him to be able to get to his first Super Bowl, get that monkey off his back, That would be great.
And then to
But
lose to Jaden.
but to lose to Jaden
Yeah.
would be a win-win for everyone.
Just break his
It would
heart.
be, and it would be a coup for the region. Can you imagine?
From
That
a
would
marketing
just,
standpoint, whew.
you might have to stay out of Baltimore that week.
Most likely. Uh-huh.
Most definitely.
I live
So-
in Baltimore and I don't go outside with this on. I live in the county.
Yeah,
I
that
live in
would
the
be
county.
where family and friends cannot see each other for a week or two.
Right.
So no, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Josh, you said you had a couple weeks ago you had a hypothetical.
I had one, but I can't remember it for the time to say my
Okay.
life. So.
If listen, this is your time now. So this is what we, like I said before, we're gonna let you throw it at me. You know, if you got a question you want to bring up to the group for everyone to answer, or throw at me something, this is the time. So does anyone
Anybody
have
want to
anything?
see anything else besides Baltimore? Anybody? Because my pick was Baltimore too. So
I think most people like, as long as they get there, it don't matter.
I'm for me,
Mhm.
to Lake's point, Lamar does take a beating, man. He just does. And for him to get to his first one and lose, that would add more negativity to him.
Mhm.
So I would like to see him get there and win. Of course, not against us,
Mhm.
but just for that reason, it would do a lot for the region. But I want to see Jaden take the mantle from
From Patrick.
Mahomes, right?
Mhm.
Let's just pass it, because
That's
let's be
good.
honest,
That's a good one.
Mahomes' first 3 years in the league, they were calling him the next great. He was on the Mount Rushmore. They was giving him all of that already.
Mhm.
And you know what I'm saying? So to me, I just want to see Jaden just actually just take it from him. You know what I'm
But
saying?
Jaden still has a chance to do that when we go down to KC this year.
Yeah.
That's true.
But
That's his
that's a regular season
opportunity
game.
right
Anybody
there
can
to
be
Talking
beat.
about
really
take the Lombardi
make
from
a
him.
statement.
Yeah.
Right.
Take the
And-
mantle, the
and-
crown.
But
Take
I
the
don't mean
crown.
just take it for 1 year. I mean, just give me the keys to the car. You had your chance, and let me just drive it.
I mean, I will say this. I'm a Patrick fan too, but I think what the Eagles did to them last year kind of has brought him down just a tad.
Yeah.
It's basically kept him out of being untouchable.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
had they won that Super Bowl, I mean, come on, you could
Oh,
already
yeah.
start printing it up that he was the GOAT.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
But now the way they lost, and he didn't look good. Now I understand he was under duress the whole game.
Made him cut his hair.
But just the thing.
Sure did.
But see, this is what I tell people, and they were getting mad at me, man. Jaden didn't look like that against that defense. 3 times did not look like that.
I mean, Mahomes, as great as Mahomes is, their window is closing. Like Kelsey's getting
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
They're losing offensive linemen are leaving.
Yes.
So that window, I'm not gonna say it's shut, but it's definitely closing down, which is gonna open it up for.
I think Buffalo or
Buffalo.
Baltimore
Yeah.
this year. I think Josh or Lamar breaks through this year. I truly believe that.
I agree.
There's great quarterbacks in the AFC, and but I do. I think Baltimore and Buffalo were right there last year. They were. Baltimore probably should have beat Buffalo in Buffalo. That was one that got away from them. But I just think that they're right there, and their teams have gotten a little better. And I don't know if you can say Kansas City has gotten better this offseason. They're going to get Rashid Rice back, which is going to be big, for their offense. And they have Andy Reid. I mean, come on, as long as you have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, you're going to always be there. But it's going to be interesting. It really is.
But even if you look at the way KC won games last year, I think over half of their games were
Very
a last-second drive, a
close.
missed field goal, a
Yes.
one-point game.
What do you mean without the refs help?
That was
without the
but
referees.
that was very Washington though, wasn't it?
Very much like us.
It
Yeah,
was,
but the refs didn't
you
help
know,
us though,
They
Lake.
From
also had a
us.
rookie quarterback.
You
Yeah,
expect
no,
that
you're
from
right.
us.
You
You're
have
right. They
Patrick
saying the
Mahomes.
refs didn't help.
The refs didn't help us.
Y'all really think the refs be on Kansas City like helping them out like that?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. You can see
Dude, that
That's
it
some
was that
questionable calls
playoff
down
game. That playoff game.
I can't
before
comment
we
on
beat
that.
them. That
I gotta
playoff
stay-
game before
I got-
we
you
played
gotta stay in your
Detroit.
lane.
They
but
called
we
a
Yeah, I
know.
gotta
pass
stay clear
interference.
about that. Yeah, I
We
gotta
don't-
stay
That's why
clear
we
about
spit it
that.
out.
That
I
game
can't
against
talk bad
Houston.
about the league. I can't do
Hey,
that.
That game against Houston,
We
they called a pass
understand.
interference against
We
Houston,
saw
and
the
it
same
was
thing when
so
they played
bogus.
Texas. Okay.
You're right,
so,
Brad. It was terrible.
Man, y'all got receipts on that.
Yeah.
But it's on tape.
They just pulling stuff out. Remember this game? Remember that quarter? Remember that drive? It was that bad, huh?
The Zach Ertz first down against Pittsburgh last year.
Oh.
Hey man, I can't listen. I can't comment, man.
But
Let's just say I
That's part of
wasn't
the
thrilled
game.
about that call though at
The
all.
team doesn't pay you. You can
Right.
say whatever you want.
Yeah, the league does.
He still got to go back and face people.
Yeah, I gotta be a
They
little
pulled
different.
Lake's field pass. Like I was listening to that podcast, and
Y'all come on here, log in again. From my thing, it'll be a black box on there.
Brad
Lake,
would be hosting the show and be like, Lake is kind of on a sabbatical.
Canceled.
Just blame it on AI. Like it's all AI. It's all AI.
Man, you know, listen.
Y'all see Netflix got a quarterback special this
Oh
season.
Lord. Okay.
You know the only quarterback who beat all three of them last year?
Yep.
Jaden. It was Jaden.
Uh-huh.
It was Jaden. And someone asked me, how come they didn't put him on there? They can't. I mean, it's
They
just
want to.
they want to. So
Oh,
that's
they
their way
will.
of doing it though. They're finding a way like, oh, he beat these guys, so we can mention that. But they just have so much going on. And then with the hard knocks, it's it's a lot of love coming to Washington right now. And I mean, like
It's
a
deserved.
boatload of it. They did. They deserve it. And they did it in 1 year. And I'm just excited to see. And then when I know Brad don't like it because you fight. What do you fight this a setup for failure?
No, I just don't like it. Y'all dogged us
like
when
it
we was
either.
losing so bad. Don't come with us now that we winning. That's how I feel like.
That's true, Joe.
But like I told you
the
guys,
nature of sports.
Yeah,
they
but
love you when you're winning, and when you're down in the dirt, they treat you like
I said this. All you got to do is look at New England, before Brady. They sucked. They were bad. I mean, they got to the Super Bowl one time, and then they got mauled in that game by the Bears. Okay, but we knew, when Washington was winning Super Bowls, the Patriots were terrible. Kansas City was irrelevant. So all the teams you see now that are playoff bound doing these things, they know it wasn't like that back then. But what happens is you win games and you have a dynamic player, kids all jump on, and that's why Jaden's jersey is #1 selling jersey. What's going to happen is those kids are now going to grow up Jaden fans, and so from a marketing standpoint, Josh Harris about to make a lot of money, and he needs it. I mean, because let me rephrase that.
Right.
He's
a
multi-billionaire. He doesn't need it, but it would be good because my father used to always say, "Rich people don't spend their money; they spend whose money? Yours."
Yeah.
So for him to put out these jerseys, to have the draft come in here in 2 years, to have this new stadium, DC Council better get this thing right because as I've said before,
Trump gonna do
leave town. You don't want to have to leave town. And I'm telling you, if you keep this team from moving back into the city,
It'll be a riot.
I don't want to condone any kind of violence because it's real in this world. But I'm saying it's real in this world.
Yeah.
I got quick. Can we take a quick yes or no straw poll on this? I think we have enough time.
Okay.
So camp is the 22nd. The rookies. The
rookies report.
Friday.
The 18th.
Camp is the 22nd. Does Terry have a contract? Yes or no? By the time of camp.
What have I been telling y'all?
Yes.
You say yes.
Okay.
Hey.
Yes.
Everybody say yes. I'm worried, man.
It better be.
So I was on a friend of mine's show, Big Doug. He's a friend of mine, and he had me on his show, and he was saying, and I had a couple DMs from people saying they're sad, man. They're scared because Terry wasn't in any of these uniform reveal pictures, and Doug was like, but I tried to tell somebody. All you got to do is go back 6 years ago. He was in a Redskins uniform.
Right. He already wore it.
So he's already worn that uniform.
He's already worn it.
So, and again, if he wasn't in the building the day they did the media day stuff. I mean, that's just what happens.
He
But
wasn't in the
but
building.
you're gonna see him in that uniform. Trust me.
Speaking,
There's just no way. All this
Hey,
talk of
Barrett,
J.J.
Barrett.
Watt and all these guys. Stop.
speaking of a Terry jersey, our other friend Brad that's not able to be on today, Brad Cox,
Hmm.
he's filming. He's filming something with the comedian Bert Kreischer, and in the scene that they filmed yesterday, he asked me to tell you guys he put a Terry jersey in his locker.
Nice.
Put a Terry jersey in his locker, so when they open up when they film it, it's gonna be there because the comedian's a big Skins fan too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
man.
Hey,
It's
Lake, I got two for you.
Yes, sir.
The first one is it's not a lot of people I listen to when it comes to the team, but you're at the top of that list. And
Thank you.
past few shows, you mention this every now and then about Cosme possibly being out for the year. Because I listen intently to when people talk, especially you.
Okay.
So is that more possible than the fans like us think? And number two, when and if Kingsbury leaves, he's going to take some people from this staff with him. Is there a plan to replenish those positions once those people leave in-house?
Man, these are the questions that I love. I'm gonna start with the latter part first, the Kingsbury one. They've already done that. They when they hired him, they hired, Philadelphia's old offensive coordinator, who was wrongfully dismissed up there, by the way. So you think of that, and they did that so that both of them can incorporate things in their offense that both of them like. So yeah, Cliff is the offensive coordinator. He's the main guy. But there's already somebody waiting right there that can continue to build on what Cliff and him have put together. Okay. Same thing on the defense. When you look at the fact that, Ken Norton Jr. is your linebacker coach with all that experience, you look at everyone that they have on this staff. They just brought in Wes Welker, to go with Bobby Ingram for the wide receivers. So if one of them leaves, there's going to be another one there. And I think the biggest minus that's going to happen if Cliff does leave, which I think we all expect for him to leave, but I don't necessarily believe it could be next year. Even if they were to win the Super Bowl and he gets all this hype, he's going to be able to write his own ticket. So he doesn't have to just take any old job. He may want to take a job where there's something that looks similar to what he's experiencing in Washington. Okay. But I can tell you right now, without question, the first player that he's going to take with him wherever he goes, if it is next year, I don't think it's a no-brainer. Who do you think he's going to take?
Marcus Mariota.
Absolutely. That would be the first guy because that's a guy that's running his offense and looks pretty good when he's out there running it. So that would be the perfect bridge if you're going to draft someone wherever you go, because normally when you go somewhere it's a bad team, it's probably going to need a quarterback. So hopefully that answers that question. But yes, Dan Quinn said the first thing that, one of the first things he said was they wanted to put together a dynamic staff that had depth. So it wasn't one guy's gone, you got to figure this out. They have guys and guys and guys, and they just added more folks this week, matter of fact, to the scouting department and everything. So they're constantly building and building. It's the same thing with the GM. Lance Newmark is legit. And he's a hot name out there, so people are like, oh man, that's going to be sad when he leaves, but you got Adam Peters, of course. But they may finagle some things around. I've been saying this for a while. Don't be surprised if Adam gets bumped up and Lance is the GM. I mean, I'm just saying this stuff, like these are things that get talked about. Now, the other part to your question as far as Sam, I would love for Sam to play this year, but that's a valuable cog on that offensive line. He's before I would say Laramie Tunsil, arrived. There's no question Sam Cosmi was their best offensive lineman, and he was on the cusp of being a Pro Bowl consistent Pro Bowl attendee. But that's a large man, and this isn't one of these skill set guys that can hurt a knee and be back. No, that's a large dude. And one thing about this coaching staff is and their trainers, they're not going to put anybody out there unless he's 100%, not 80, not 85. He's got to be 100 and clearing every bar as every marker, as Coach Quinn says. So I've said this. If they're in contention and they're having a great season, which I think we all expect them to have, I sit Sam out for the year. I basically redshirt him, and I say that because if you're, let's just say it's he's not going to be the first 8 weeks. We know that he'll be on the pup, but then you still have a month to get ready. So let's just say they utilize that whole month, and we're talking week 13 is his unveiling, and this team at that point going into week 13 is 10-3, 11-2. Do you want to disrupt the chemistry of that at that point when you can give him more time to get even better, as far as healing and getting right for the following season, and add him to the line at that point? That's why I'm saying I don't expect to see Sam. That's just me, and that's not knocking Sam because he's working hard to get back. Okay,
Right.
Brad.
To your point too, and Sam is still young too, so right, he got some years.
Exactly.
But to my answer to Ellison and Barrett, you asked about Cliff Kingsbury. He's still getting paid by the Arizona Cardinals to 2027 at $7 million. So why would he just jump? Right, he's still getting paid. So why
And he's
jump?
quarterback in the face of the league almost.
Yeah, and their connection is peanut butter and jelly, right?
Yeah,
So why
yeah.
leave? And to Barrett's point about Terry, we're hearing all this negativity from the Adam Schefters and all these other people. Nothing from Terry or nothing from Washington.
Right.
And we know this group
No.
is very close to the vest. They don't say nothing. So that's why I'm not really worried about it, because I don't really worry. And I think something big is going to come from it. Either a trade, I don't mean Terry, but I think something big is going to come. Terry going to get signed and we're going to do something else though. But that's just my answer.
That's
to
the
Ellison.
reason why Terry hasn't been signed, guys.
Yes.
And I've said this, and Sheila, of course, always say guys and Sheila.
Yep.
But that's the reason why it hasn't happened, because contract extensions are different from brand new contracts. Contract extensions normally are your team's best players that are looking for their extensions. All you got to do is just go back in history and just look. All you got to do is go back to last year with Sam Cosmi. He got his contract extension the first day of training camp. We were sitting there in the room and they walked him in.
Exactly.
That's what I feel like is going to happen with Terry. The team doesn't want this to drag into. Remember, they're getting filmed here. Remember, they're being watched now. You don't want this to drag into training camp and he's not there. You just don't want that, because all the harmony and everything that they've done up until this point has been a feel-good story. Excuse me, real quick. It's been a feel-good story. Now you got the uniforms. Everything is just so, everybody's hands in right now. Everybody's on board. It's all positive. You don't think they want to continue that? Of course they do. And then if Terry's there the first day of practice, it's on. It's time to rock and roll. And I think they know that. And I think that's why over the next 2 weeks, you're going to see this thing get done. I predicted it's going to happen the eve of training camp. I literally feel that way. And until I'm proven wrong, that's what I'm sticking with. So hopefully that helps you guys sleep at night.
Mine has been, like I said, I trust in what management. It's management that has put this juggernaut together. And realistically, like I said, really understanding the business end, I believe that there's always, like you were saying about the additional coaches coming in, behind the scene. I believe there's a contingency plan for all of this. I believe we got eyes on, the next 3 to 4 Super Bowl runs is what we're doing. So if from a business perspective, given the fact that, there's going to come a time, Terry is turning or is 30 now. So I'm sorry, folks, there's going to come a time when this roster isn't going to have Terry. What are we going to do?
And it's realistic that Terry won't be there when a couple things happen. There's a chance that Terry won't be there when Jaden's contract comes up. There's a chance that Terry won't be there when they go into the new stadium as a chunk of this roster, because guys will be retired or older. So
football.
This team, the one thing that they're good at organization-wise with Josh Harris, is they have foresight. You know, they like you said, Rev, they've already looked ahead. When they put together this staff with Dan Quinn, Adam Peters, they put together the staff. They put together the staff not hoping and praying that they would be good. They put together the staff knowing they were going to be good. And they
There you go.
literally put it together knowing that there's going to have to be some attrition, you know, where guys leave and they're going to have somebody else step up. There's a reason why they're bringing in a lot of younger coaches too that come in as quality control. You know, people don't know about those things, but they're quality control now and they're learning from the coordinators so that when one of them moves on, now they move up. It's brilliant the way this thing is being done. I've never seen it before. I've never seen it covering this group. It was, you know, certain pockets were really good at times. I've always said this. I thought from an offensive mind standpoint, I thought Jay Gruden was top notch. I can honestly tell you that from a preparation standpoint. But the players and things like that, and you know, just everything didn't click. You know, it just some guys didn't want to listen. Some coaches didn't want to bend, you know, in their
Came
thing.
from
You
other
know, we
side.
saw that with Rivera. You know, some people set in their ways, doing things. It's not like that now. This thing is very flexible. It's like you know, my daughter used to make this thing all the time, this slime stuff. That's what the kids would make all the time. 18 years old, still making that mess. But with that said, yeah. But with that said, you know, that's Washington, not slime, but something that's moldable and it's always changing. It's scary to say that Washington has like the premier modern structure right now.
Winning
When was the last
franchise.
time you
Something
thought
we
you would
hadn't
say
seen.
that?
Winning franchise. Something we hadn't seen in 30 years, man.
It's
Wow.
and the league has jumped on that, you know,
Change.
and I can tell you something else I was told by some colleagues last year. By the end of the year last year, a lot of teams was trying to duplicate what Washington was
I
doing.
believe it.
Yeah,
believe
a
it.
lot of people started jumping
believe
on
it.
that,
I believe it.
and maybe now this virtual thing is something that all the rookie quarterbacks should
I
be
knew
using
it. I said
and
that. I
stuff
said
like
that.
Well, you
Yeah,
know they could do
I said he
that.
was going. I said that. I said they're gonna make this a big thing when
hmm
Jaden start doing. They're gonna make it a big thing. And you know what? Good for Dan Quinn, right?
hmm
Because the outside of Washington people, when he got hired, they
Yeah.
felt like, dang, for
Yeah.
y'all, right? They felt like, and thank God he
hmm
became our coach, man, right? Man, my gosh. So,
the
good
perfect
for him.
person to lead.
Absolutely, good for him.
The
Good for
perfect
him.
person,
Yeah.
and he's just even better person. That's the one thing I would say about everyone now. Everyone speaks to you. Everyone carries conversations with you. You know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. You know, the whole fact of the matter of being in Indianapolis and Adam coming over and hugging me. I mean, it
Right.
just you have no idea what that meant to me. Like, and that's why I don't say anything negative about those guys because you respect them as men first. You know, when you can respect somebody as a man first,
Mm-hmm.
everything else takes care of itself. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and
100%.
and that's the way they've come at us as media. They respect us as media.
Man, the
And
impact of culture change. Culture change is real.
man, I
It's
can't
really
find a negative story if I want one.
wow.
If the only thing I can talk about is, you know, I wrote an article, no shameless plug here on Heavy, of course, but I did write an article about the fact of loyalty with Terry is why you got to sign this dude because you know when you look at everything that this guy represents, he represents the past, you know, and now he's with the modern. But more importantly, he's a good dude, man. I'm talking about Terry here, Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
Good dude. And I've said this. This is the only thing I could think of that could be a negative. What kind of signal would it send to the players in the locker room if you don't resign Terry? When
Exactly.
he is
Yeah.
your model player on the field, production, off the field, does everything for the community, doesn't get in trouble. You
Not
know,
saying a thing about his contract right now.
absolutely. So my
Right.
thing is, he's never said anything negative about this organization because he wants to
Yeah.
be here. We know that.
Even when he could have.
Even
Right?
when he could
Even
have.
when he could
So
have.
what would that say for the organization to let a player like that walk when
Mm.
you just went out and tried to shore up your line. You know Sam's not going to be there, at least not right now. But you shored up your bookends or your tackles, Laramie Tunsil, Josh Conley Jr. And you went out and you got a Debo Samuel, to pair with Terry. They didn't get Debo to replace Terry. Stop that.
Right.
They got Debo to pair with Terry to give Jaden more weapons. His biggest weapon is Terry. So you can't let that guy walk. And you don't trade that guy. The only way you would trade a Terry McLaurin is if somebody got fleeced. And I mean like multiple first round picks and a Pro Bowl player added in that. You might have to listen to that. That's just common sense.
Right.
But it better be a young Pro Bowl player that you're getting with those draft picks. That's not happening, folks. So I don't even like coming up with those kind of hypotheticals because
I have a question. Like,
yes, sir.
So we're speaking of the culture change and obviously rave reviews and all the ratings. However, I continue to see a F for the locker room. Can you give me some insight on what makes our locker room so bad compared to other organizations?
Well, I don't know what where those came from because the locker room last year at the end of the year was actually rated the best in the league. Like they do this survey of everything that happens in an organization, and Dan Quinn's group, they were number one because everything is great in the locker room. These players love each other. There's no egos anymore. None of that. They don't even play bad music in the locker room. There used to be times we couldn't even interview people in the locker room because it was just trap music. I mean, all kinds of stuff like words and all. And I'm like, this is bad.
Is it more
last year they playing Luther Vandross and I mean, Erica Badu, Jill Scott, the guitar player, I can't think of his name right now. That's actually from New York, born in the USA. Bruce Springsteen. They're playing stuff like this in the locker room. Just
is it more the facility?
So they're talking about the facility, but guess what?
Okay.
But guess what? You guys noticed during the draft when I was doing some of my stand-ups, I was in the dome in the bubble for one.
Yeah.
Half of that bubble was constructed to be their locker room and offices. And the reason for that is because of the work that's being done on the main building. They have a major renovation going on over there. New locker rooms that I heard are fire, everything. So this isn't just, I'm telling you, everything is being washed to the side and fixed. And I don't even want to say fixed. They're not fixing anything. They're redoing everything. It's a redo, a restart, a rebrand,
A recalibration.
and they understand. First class facilities, first class uniforms, first class treatment of the players from a health and wellness standpoint, first class results on the field. And that's what we saw last year. How about the lack of major injuries last year? And it's not
sports medicine team is
it's sports medicine, but it's also something else, guys.
Nutrition, man.
It's the nutrition part, and shout out to Samantha and Al Bellamy. But I gotta tell you this. When you show up for work and you like the people around you, you show up for work. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. You call in sick and you take days off when you don't like the people you work with and you don't want to go in there. But
they don't want to leave.
Right. But when you like the people that you're around, and those are people you spend more time with than your own family, it was real last year. And so Sean, I hope I'm answering your question with that. I got to tell you, if you guys see any negativity about this organization, it's bull and it's not true. I can refute it and I can tell you because I'm there, and that is not the case.
And you know what, like, not to cut anybody off. Sorry, Rev.
Go ahead.
It's real because everybody that they signed, free agents, they say from this other sideline how that culture was and how everybody want to be here. So you got guys noticing it and wanting to come to play for us. And how long have we been able to say that?
Yeah, most guys came to town to play for Washington. And I say it, and I'm going to say it again. They were coming to town with ski masks on under their helmets. Literally. You couldn't see their face because they had a mask on playing on Sundays because they were stealing money. That's all they wanted here. That's not the case now. Laramie Tunsil's not here, obviously, for the paycheck. I mean, he's gonna get his money. We know that. Laramie Tunsil's like, I could be an added piece, the finishing touches for a Super Bowl team. And he said it himself. He
Lead him
could
into
not.
the end zone.
Yeah,
He goes
and
to
he
that.
said this. He
I
said
could
he
be
could
that one
not
leading him
believe.
into the end zone.
Yeah, he said he
Road
could not
grade.
believe the energy with the coaches. He said he was like, when are they going to turn it off?
Well,
And they
Debo said
don't.
the same thing. Debo said he wanted to come here before they
Yeah.
even called him.
Yes,
You know why they wanted to come here, right?
Oh yeah.
It's easy. Number 5. That's
Say
it.
number 5.
He
There
already
When
you
you
go.
have
he said they got to the NFC championship in 1 year. He's like, and when they called me, I already had picked them. And then he got the call, he was ready to go. So,
Yeah.
see, I think that loss to Philly in that NFC championship game, if you were a player and you're watching that game on television,
I can come help. I can come help.
Yeah, they're looking at that like,
Yeah.
damn,
Yo,
these
there you
boys not that far. They just need
there
this,
you go,
this, and this.
Allison. Yo,
And I might be able to be the one to help them get there.
Right.
Oh,
And guess what? And then it's and don't think people haven't watched what Patrick did with Kansas City. Like seriously. And now they're seeing it with Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia.
mhm.
Young, and they're like, man, these guys, they on a run here. They're gonna go on a run for a while.
Right.
They're looking at Jaden like that's something totally different. This guy might get on a run, and it might get real ugly if they can get the right pieces around them. And then I think the respect of Adam Peters around the league also is a big deal too. So when I call him the boy wonder, I meant that. Like everybody knew that Adam was the next coming as far as when he got his opportunity to be a GM. And for him to pick Washington was big because he could have gone anywhere.
And-
Let's face it.
I mean,
And
the Adam
you
and
know,
Howie show
that's
for
what
a
I
while.
was. That's what I was gonna say. That stepping back to when you said about Adam hugging you, and he's that aware of what's going on around him and who's saying what. So giving you your flowers or props, it speaks to your character and the content in what you're delivering.
Well, I appreciate that.
He appreciated you in your reporting throughout because he's listening to the vibe and the pulse. And when he has you, your Auntie Donna and Miss Candy, asking the questions.
That's my crew.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm in California, so I got my finger on certain things of content, and so giving you very much your respect for you, like you're saying, a man of his caliber, but at the same time for what you do, because honestly, the blade that the media can cut with, and then what you have to recover from. You need staples instead of stitches.
Right.
I like that. See that? Wait. Hold on.
Go write that down.
Got to borrow that one. That's a good one.
While you're writing down, Lake, I just wanted to do a full circle back to the jerseys again. One of the things that popped out to me, of course, you already mentioned somebody mentioned the fact that they didn't put the name on the front of the jersey. And I thought that was really interesting because to me, it's almost like they open it up for interpretation. Whoever the fan is, you can kind of look at that jersey and say, well, that's a Redskins jersey, or that's a Commander jersey, or
yeah. And I'm glad you're mentioning that too, Willis, because I didn't mean it in the sense that, they're going to eventually put Redskins back on there. No. That's not what I meant. I meant exactly what Willis was saying. There's no name on there for a reason. It's because it bridges both sides, but it's the uniform that everybody universally can recognize and love. I did want to say one of the things that people have brought to my attention that I didn't notice until I went back and listened to some of the questions. And I appreciate that, Rev, as far as, those comments. But I've come to notice that Adams does say to some of my questions, that's a great question. So when you get that from people, you know you're asking a decent question. I'm not saying my questions are great. I'm saying that my questions are thought out before I ask
If
them,
you can get a chance.
which is a big difference. I'll leave it at that. I don't need to be heard. I ask something that I really need an answer for, but I don't need to hear myself
Can I
speak.
make a
So,
suggestion
yes.
to the group? I have spent time this week. I went back in Jaden's past, all the way through high school, and the same person that you see on the field, you see when he came to high school. He even brought his high school notoriety. From they were nowhere, nothing, and he put them on the map in California. So if you guys go back and look, I pulled him up in 11 because I couldn't find him at first, and I said, let me find 11 elite. So I found him in 2018. So you can see him, his demeanor, even when he was young. And they had Deshaun Jackson on to interview them, or he got to interview Deshaun Jackson. And his questions were very about how you carry yourself. How do you carry yourself when you're out there? You know, now that you're a quarterback and you're around everybody, how do you deal with the controversy? That's the things that Jaden asked. And he was quiet. He kept himself quiet. I actually got mad. That's why I went to find him, and then I'm going to let it go. I went to find him because he got asked some personal questions that I got offended by because he was young and he was kind of like teary about it, having to talk about where he came up at. And then when I found that, I didn't know it was the Elite 11, so I went and found that. And then there was this coaching him, I'm asking him a personal question in 2 minutes about tell yourself something about yourself in 2 minutes. And that kind of like he had to talk about his personal life, you know, but he did it. And he did it with very humble. So if y'all ever go back and look. I pulled it up again last night because I wanted to see some of the stuff. Go back just because people can question, why is he like he is? And so I went back this past. And then his dad was there. Even though you don't see his dad that much, but his dad was there with him in high school, helping him out.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're bringing up his father because I do think that that's what makes him special too, you know. And he had a great relationship with his grandparents as well.
Right, that's right.
So family means everything, and
so I just watched him go through that, and then even when he went through the controversy at Arizona, he held that. He did that with dignity. And
I know. I'm sure his teammates feel stupid. The ones that were in the locker room saying he wasn't any good anyway. Really? Right. Okay. All right. So you know, while you're at work watching them, just remember that.
I just wanted to know about his past and what he did when he was young to where he is now. And he's so grateful for being here.
Great kid. Yeah. I mean, I can't. Again, everyone says, man, Lake, you just too positive about this. And I'm like, y'all don't understand.
No.
I just if you only can imagine for 16, not 16, because they got here. So for 14 years of what I was enduring and seeing. And
we all were enduring it.
We were enduring it too.
That's what I'm saying, you know, and then just to be out at times, like right in front of you at practice or something, you're like, really? Are they doing this? And then being told, I don't have a problem saying it. You know, Mike Shanahan telling us, you can't film practice. Media, you're not allowed to film practice because you're giving away a competitive advantage. Well, before we even get to that part, this is during training camp. And guess what's happening? Right behind me, like I can turn around and push a fan.
The fans would have.
They're filming. And I'm like, so you'd rather have the fan put your stuff out as opposed to people to cover the team. It's so stupid. Stuff like that was happening. And then there were times where, and I'm gonna say it, I mean, again, this is, you know, I love the new group, so it's not them. I'm talking the older folks, the older coaches, the older regimes playing in a game in hot weather in November, and you're practicing not in your bubble, you're practicing outside in 20-degree weather. And I'm just like, what are we doing here? Like, can you simulate what you're getting ready? You're playing in a dome stadium that weekend, but you're practicing outside.
You know what I can say for me? what I appreciate about this regime more than anything, going back over decades and like you said, lake regimes, I appreciate there's no leaks right now.
Right.
Compared to
There's
where it was.
none,
Right.
none,
Right.
I appreciate
none,
that. I know a lot of
none.
people want, to be the first to do this and to hear this gossip and
Right.
stuff. I
Right.
appreciate there's nothing coming out. That's me.
Nothing
It
at
makes
all.
it fun to stay quiet, man. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It does.
Yeah.
It makes it fun. And more importantly, you're not trying to get people in trouble.
Right.
Yeah, and that's
Because
why I'm not worried about it, to
yeah,
Bear's point, because it's almost like they're making up negativity now because they so
Right.
used to
Right.
us
Right.
having
they staying
negativity.
quiet. They
Yeah,
they
but
they
Lake,
putting
can I go
together a
back?
Super Bowl winner and they staying quiet.
Can I
All
go
these
back
reporters are always upset.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Terry,
Brad.
Terry hasn't said a word.
to the comparison that Cam made about RG3 and Jaden, and then to Miss Sheila's point, not to call anything out, but from you having an inside
All
view of
right.
RG3 and Jaden, can you see the difference in them personality wise? Because on the outside, it looked like RG3 was all about RG me.
Yes.
Right. Right.
And
Was.
Jaden is
To some
about,
extent.
can you see the difference? I know you got a relationship with Rob.
Yeah, I
I ain't
do.
trying to point that out, but can you
No,
see the
that's
difference
fine.
in them?
I mean, Rob's my dude,
Right.
Come get off Twitter too, by the way.
yeah. I mean, no, that's my guy. But there was a time where I even told Robert to slow down.
Right.
I'll say it in the locker room. I promise you, this happened. His last day there, I walk in. I don't like mentioning. I'm not gonna mention every name, but let's just say he was there, and he was there with a friend who was head of PR at the time, and they were sitting on the couch, and I walked in, and they were like, "You gotta go see what everybody talking about in the locker room," and I'm like, "Okay," and I'm like, "What is it?" And Rob was like, "I left a note on my locker." You remember the infamous note that he left on his
Right,
locker room?
I remember that.
And I went in and I saw it. And I was like, nah. And I was like, man, bro, you gotta take that down, man. And he was like, no,
I
I'm gonna
don't know
leave it
that.
up there. And I'm just like, that's that kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like you're not okay. It's not happening here. We know this is probably your last day here. You'll probably be gone in the off season. But other teams are looking at you. Other teams are looking at how do you conduct yourself? How do you handle it when things don't go well? And for the most part, I'm gonna say Robert's the nicest guy you'll ever meet. Like this past year, they did something for him at the game, and I was coming downstairs, and he was with his kids, and he literally looked over, saw me, hugged, we talked, talked to the kids, and I'm happy for him because he's in a good place in his life, family wise.
Yeah.
But when you go back to those practices, and the worst thing that could have happened for Robert was that Dan Snyder and the team propped him up.
Right.
And they
heard
gave
that.
him something he hadn't earned.
I heard
And
that.
they created the monster basically. And when it was time for him to be reeled in at times, just as a player, and I'm not talking about as a person, I'm talking about as a player. No, you need to stay here and do this, or learn this about the offense. It just wasn't clicking. And I it's hard for me to knock Robert so much. Everybody's responsible for their own actions as people. We have to take responsibility. But I just don't feel like he was put in a situation for him to understand why he needed to take responsibility at times. And that's the difference when you look at Jaden. Jaden walked into a situation that was groomed and set up for him to be successful in every possible facet of a football player, as a person, and more importantly, let him stay in the locker room and be amongst his teammates. And I told y'all, you guys, he stays in the locker room all the time and is in there joking and in there talking with linemen and cornerbacks and safeties. I mean, he knows everybody in there, talking with Tress Way, talking with everyone. There's only one quarterback I've ever seen in my whole time covering this team that would go in the locker room on a daily basis.
Alex
and
Smith.
that was Alex Smith.
Yo.
So
I like
I'm just saying to you, this guy understands it. And I think the organization, Josh Harris, Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, I think they researched what happened before. I know they did. They researched and got answers because there's still some people in the building who helped. I'm gonna shout out my dude, Doug Williams. Doug Williams is huge in letting them know what was going on. And the fact that Doug's there now, great. I mean, it's just That's another thing that people don't talk about that I think Josh Harris and Adam and Dan need to be propped up about is that they really are bringing back the old guys, and they really are valuing them and their opinion and everything that they did. And Doug told me out of his own mouth. I don't think Doug will mind me saying this. That's my guy. Doug said it's night and day. Those are his word. It's night and day. And everybody sees it's night and day. So to answer your question, Brad, to get back to Robert, different setups, different type of players. I'll say this, Jaden's the better football player, right, at this point in his career. Because Jaden was coming from Jaden was coming from pro style offense in college. You know, he played for a professional coach, basically when he was at Arizona, because Herm Edwards. Robert was coming from Baylor, where he had 3 great wide receivers, and he could just be an athlete and throw the ball out there, and they would go and get it. Jaden is a little different, man. It was more structured offense, more set up to be, suitable for him to step into the pros and be okay with everything. And then on top of that, I just think Jaden's personality is so unique. Like, he's a nice kid. Not saying Robert wasn't, but you can tell that Jaden is genuinely interested in people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like he's genuinely interested in what you as a fan has to say, and he embraces that stuff. And the other thing about him, I'm gonna tell y'all, and you already know this, you guys know this, but the people watching us, that dude's a damn dog.
Yeah, I think like what I was saying, like personality wise, and we know everybody is different. We know everybody is different, but sometimes when Jaden, when the camera's on, he almost seems like he's uncomfortable in front of the camera. Almost like I would rather be working out and be in the locker room.
You remember what I told you guys last year, right? During training camp. I remember I reported every time he made plays, because he was making a lot of them, he never looked over at us in the media, ever. He would go run to Zach Ertz, and they would talk, and Zach would tell him things or show him things. It was always football. It was always, just it's like he's like this on the field. He doesn't see or hear the outside noise.
He doesn't.
But I can say they're with Robert and even some other guys, they make plays and they'll look over at the sidelines and make sure it was filmed, make sure we were watching. There was none of that with Jaden. And
that's why I say that Cam Newton take was lazy.
Yeah,
because they're two different people. There are 2 different people on how they carry themselves, and I don't like that too. Game, but they're 2 different people.
And I don't like that either, guys, because not to go race card here, but
no,
it's taken so long for a black quarterback to get their due love. And now that there's so many starting now, it's almost like you don't think about, oh, that's a black quarterback. Oh, that's a black quarter, because there's so many starting. It's a normal thing now. But the thing that should not become normal is for a previous former black quarterback to be taking shots at a new black quarterback. You shouldn't do. And I know that doesn't sound fair, because it could be like, well, why not? If they're taking shots at white quarterbacks, but I don't think they are. That's the irony. The black quarterbacks who are taking shots at black quarterbacks that they feel like they can relate to. No, you can't do that. You can't. That's like me singling out a black media member just to attack. That's not good.
He's just jealous. He wants to be where Jaden is now.
Right. That's what I think.
I mean, this guy got an MVP and played in the Super Bowl. If anything, Jaden would probably tell you he wants that. So,
but he didn't win. That's the problem.
But all I'm saying is, some of these guys have had success, and they don't need to remind people of how bad someone else is to make you remember how good he was. That was a phenomenal football player. His place is forever there. I mean, he took the Panthers, for God's sakes, Super Bowl, and they lost. I get it, but again, it's almost like some guys just don't want to feel diminished. We talked about that earlier. Remember, with the younger folks?
I lived in Charlotte during that run, and he's the same guy now as he was then. He was amazing to watch, but his ego has always been there, and it's still he's always
over the top.
Now he's truly all about, all about me and all the eyes on me, and it's like I don't know, the portrait of the dying hero or something like that.
Exactly.
He's not
That's a
Exactly.
good
But
one.
see, isn't that the irony, guys? Like when you look at, okay, let's just say we're talking about black quarterbacks now. Look at the black quarterback of today's game. Look at C.J. Stroud. Look at Lamar. Look at Patrick.
Right.
Patrick's biracial, but still, dad's black. So look at Patrick. Look at Jaden. Look at
Kylan.
Jalen. These are all guys that, I'm a father of a daughter. These are all guys that I would not be uncomfortable with. Obviously, I'd be uncomfortable with them. I'm uncomfortable with anybody. But the whole point I'm saying is, from a character standpoint, they're all great
Right.
guys. And that's what should be celebrated, is that, all these quarterbacks, they're good dudes,
Well,
but
look
when
what
people
Doug
take
went
shots
through.
at them, what are you taking a shot
Doug
at?
went through.
Because they're producing on the field and they're producing off the field, or as we used to say, they're winning off the field too. So what are you taking the shot at? So as Brad said, as Rev said, it might be envy. It might be, and there's no place for that. So I've never understood. You make money. What are you envious about?
Trying to bruise his podcast. I told you.
Yeah, I think we all know. That this franchise has something special, and with number 5, and I think the one thing I love about you guys is that you guys respect Jaden more as a person than as a football player.
Yeah,
100%.
And that shows.
That's the main.
I hope everybody takes that comment and does run with it, because that's how it's supposed to be. And that's how I've always said, when I walk into that locker room, I look at these guys as men first, and that's my approach. We talked about that earlier. If you can shake a man's hand, hug a man, whatever, then that's respect. And unfortunately, in my field, man, it's a cutthroat field, and there are a lot of people out there that just, man, they'll drive over you and back up to get to where they gotta go.
Do your part and don't read it. That's what I do.
But that's why Kirk Cousins had to come out and say, "You like that?" Because he had his issues. So
Yeah.
I mean, people were killing that Joker too, man. It's been so many good dudes that have come through Washington. I will say that, player wise, that I'm, even guys that people didn't know. Like I always say, Deshaun, that was my dude, man. Good dude. Like people don't. People are different. Depending on where you're from and how where you come from, will determine how you are received and how you approach people. And some players do come from places where they're more guarded. I totally get it, but can you blame them when you see how a lot of my colleagues go after you? Like I would be guarded too. I'm guarded as media. I tell you all the time. Some of y'all know this story. I say it all the time. I love doing this with y'all, and I love talking with fans anytime I get. But once I leave the football arena, once I leave the stadium, once I shut down. I'm like Mr. Quiet.
I'm exactly the same way. I have been for 31 years when I'm on the stage.
So he's a musician. Absolutely. I know the switch. But when I can be home and do nothing, man, life is good. And unfortunately, I can't do that today. We got a 5 o'clock wedding outside, and then you have to wear all black. And I don't mean like, no, I'm like, okay. So I was like, okay, I'll wear my black, I got my white shirt. And I told Janine, I said, so I'm not gonna, and she says this too, by the way, because I know we straying here. She said, y'all be having personal conversations on your show, and I said, but that's because it's family. That's what we do. But anyway, I'm like, I can wear a white shirt with the collar open. I won't wear a tie. She said, no, you have to wear a black shirt too.
Ooh.
Hey,
and I'm
Lake,
like, it's supposed to be 100 out this joint today.
hey, Lake, I think.
Got to be black too.
Hey, Lake, I think you near me, if I'm not mistaken. So it's gonna be humid today for sure.
Oh man, listen, you know what I'm doing when I get off this? I'm going right up. I had a neighbor. Y'all remember Brad, right? The Bears fan.
Yep.
Saw him yesterday and was talking, and his face the whole time I was telling him about the wedding was like, So he sent me this link. There's like this little thing you put around your neck, and it has like a full blown like air conditioner on it.
Yeah.
It's like $130, and I'm like, you know what?
It's worth it.
Better I pay for that than not be here on Sunday. Passing out in that heat. So anyway, fellas and Sheila, this was real. And listen, man, we did this for an hour and 40 minutes. It doesn't even feel like that time went by like that.
Right. That's
No
awesome.
kidding.
That's awesome.
So
I gotta go gig. I gotta go to anyway. So
okay, all right, y'all take care. Well, look, I'm gonna let you go. I appreciate you guys doing this. And just so for our listening audience out there, we weren't gonna say it, but yeah, we're doing this on Saturday. Normally we do it on Friday. We probably will change the date of the fan show as the season gets here, because Friday I'll be traveling to a game or doing whatever, and Saturday traveling to a game or doing whatever. Monday, I'm thinking could be a time that we could do this, and just keep this also in mind. Tuesday is NFL day off, like players, media, the whole nine during the season. So maybe we could do a Tuesday, and then that way we could recap, because they're gonna be playing on Monday nights and stuff like that, So, so we'll get a little group poll and figure all this stuff out, but. As always, I am greatly appreciative of you guys as family coming on and spending your Saturday morning with me. And hopefully this springboards you to having a heck of a great weekend. All right?
All
right. Thanks, brother. Salute you later.
take care.
Take care now.
All right, later.
Bye-bye.
Stay cool, brother.
Try.